Last summer, the state of Minnesota unveiled a climate action framework to lay the groundwork for better resilience in the face of climate change. Senator Nick Frentz is the chair of the Senate Energy, Utilities, Environment, and Climate Committee, and he joins me now to talk about some of the initiatives in the state's next two-year budget that represent investments in climate resilience. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, Shannon, good to see you again. Thank you for having me.
As I prepared to talk to you, I noticed an article in the New York Times called, "In Norway, the electric vehicle future has already arrived." According to the article, 80% of new cars sold are EVs, the air is cleaner and the streets are quieter, though charging remains a problem. This new law here in Minnesota, the Environment and Energy Budget, offers a $2,500 rebate to Minnesotans who purchase a new EV, $600 for a used one, presumably until that funding is exhausted. How far will this investment move the needle?
Well, the actual dollars will move the needle a little, but the spirit of it, I think, will help move people a lot. You combine the news that we're seeing about climate change with the rebates and the incentives to go electric, and I think you'll see more and more Minnesotans choosing to go that way. You may know that our sales nationwide are about 6% electric vehicles for new sales. That's almost a doubling of what it was a year and a half ago. So Norway is ahead of us, but we're both headed in the same direction. And it's worth pointing out that the electric generation sector has shown great improvement in carbon emission reduction. Not so in the transportation sector. So there's a lot of upside if we can get to electric vehicles, not just in Minnesota, but nation and worldwide.
Well, then on that note, the new law also supplies funding for schools to purchase electric buses, for car dealers to make infrastructure changes necessary to sell EVs and also to train their staff. Also, the law indicates a state preference for electric vehicles or hybrids for its own fleet. What kind of impact will these changes have on the transportation sector?
Well, I appreciate you mentioning the electric buses because it's got a couple impacts. First of all, the money that's provided in the omnibus energy budget bill will move the needle some on electric buses. They're expensive, but they're clean. They cost less to operate, and of course, they're much healthier. That's the second benefit, is we don't need a bunch of diesel fumes wafting into our school kids as they wait by the bus. So we get a little bit of a public health benefit. But to your real question, that would move the needle 2% maybe for the school bus fleet if all you're measuring is the money. But what we want to continue to create is an environment where schools, bus companies move that way for the betterment of the health and long-term carbon emission reductions. And I think that'll be a good start.
I imagine that there are people who are interested in electric vehicles but live in homes that will require an upgrade to their electrical grid in order to support charging. There's other electrical upgrades that people are interested in: electric stoves, electric dryers, heat pumps. And taken all together, those things may require changes to a home's infrastructure. This new law sets aside money for grants to residential homeowners for electric panel upgrades and for heat pumps. What do homeowners need to know?
Well, a couple things. First of all, you said it better than I could, which is we're trying to make people's homes compatible with the changes, not just for electric vehicles, stoves, heat pumps. Those are more efficient, they're healthier, and they're going to be lower cost. So the heat panel grants allow a home, preferably a low-income family, that can get a new panel and have the state partner with them on the cost. That opens the door to a lot of things, and by the way, also has the benefit of improving the value of the home. So one of our goals overall in the budget is to try to lift up those who have a little less, and the heat panel grants, the electric panel grants rather, is one of the ways you can do that, and hopefully provide environmental benefits as well.
And so then for heat pumps, that's another option. There's also weatherization. So there's money to help people make their homes cleaner.
Yeah, great point about the pre-weatherization money. Actually, the largest individual chunk, almost $40 million in the bill to allow homes to be pre-weatherized. It's a little bit nerdy, but federal money comes in to help weatherize homes. That makes them much more energy efficient, which means we don't have to produce that energy, lowering carbon emissions. The pre-weatherization, think vermiculite, think windows, is money that the state is going to help these homes to get ready to get that federal money. And the easiest way to reduce emissions in energy production is not to have to produce the energy. So we have a lot of upside there with pre-weatherization, and that's why the House and Senate both made it a priority, and that's why it has that $40 million, which is a large chunk.
And so for people who want to read about how to get information about this, is it the Department of Commerce website that they would go to?
Yes, yes. And I think what they'll find is a fairly user-friendly process.
I was also interested to see that there's funding for a number of studies, including how much energy storage capacity is needed to meet the 100% carbon-free standard, funding to determine the resiliency of the electric grid, money for a feasibility study to determine if Minnesota's iron resources may possibly work for long-term battery storage. Will the answers to these questions then determine the next steps for our state?
Yeah, I think they will, and I'm glad to see those studies. You know, we're not as smart as we think we are. We need to look at these, and sometimes that takes experts, consultants, engineers to come in and say, hey, here's what's working. I appreciate you mentioning storage, because we have storage capacity now for 4 hours. So if it's Shannon Loehrke utility, they can store energy, wind, solar for 4 hours. But that's not really a usable amount. You need 70, 100 hours. And so you mentioned the iron ore and Form Energy looking at the possibility of much less expensive storage that would give us 100 hours. That would be a game changer. And the study is a very small price to pay. We should always be asking questions. And, in the legislature, studies is a way you ask questions and hopefully get good answers.
So absent from the final bill was a feasibility study that had been included in the Senate version but did not make it through conference committee, and that was a feasibility study to look at advanced nuclear reactors. You've always said that you're open to the concept. Why did this study not make it?
Well, I think it's a hard-hitting news report that we're having here, but the House refused to take it, and I thought that was a big mistake. We're telling people, and I think rightly so, that carbon emissions, climate change is the #1 threat to the planet. Whatever our concerns about nuclear, and they're real, storage of waste, the possibility of legacy facilities melting down, those are real concerns. But it is a carbon-free source. Without nuclear, we can't meet our 100% goals. So the study of advanced nuclear, or so-called modular nuclear, which other states are looking at, I think was a big miss for Minnesota. I think we should have done that. It was $300,000 in a budget, including all the components, of over $330 million. And I enjoyed working with my House counterparts, but I think we'll be back. And I mentioned earlier today, the state of Illinois just lifted its nuclear moratorium in its entirety. So lots of states that want the same type of things Minnesotans do are looking at nuclear. And to not study it, I thought, potentially prevents us from doing something that I think Minnesotans would want us to do, and achieving our climate change goals.
These investments are possible because of a large budget surplus. It allowed for one-time funding to jumpstart the expansion of clean energy technology. Is it a big enough boost that these reforms will be self-sustaining, or in other words, is the transition to affordable clean energy in the long term, is it affordable in the long term?
I think our energy will be affordable, but I don't think it's enough investments just in this budget to make that transition. An example would be transmission. That's the big poles that run the wires throughout the state to bring energy from where it's generated to consumers like you and me. We have about $10 billion through the MISO grid coming in for our first tranche. That'll be a big help, but not enough. And the investments that we're making here are great starts, in some places really great starts. But I don't think that'll be the end of the state's need to partner with our ratepayers and our consumers. What we're really looking for, though, is the moment when the average Minnesotan says, it's in everybody's interest to use energy efficiency to benefit us, to reduce carbon emissions. And that's what I think they've already got in Norway, and that's what I hope we bring here to Minnesota, even if it'll take, in my opinion, another couple budget cycles.
Senator Nick Frentz, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
Likewise. Thanks, Shannon.